let me have the privilege of the first question. Let's get right into it. Okay. So, the most active social media I'm on is LinkedIn. And it fascinates me and shocks me that there are 3 to 4 times as many followers for the hashtag mindfulness than there are for the hashtag meditation. I'm like, everybody's barking up the wrong tree. So Swamiji, this is something that you address bang on without beating around the bush in your book. So let's get that started today. What is the difference between mindfulness, meditation? You quoted Guruji also in the book. So please share a little bit about this with us.
Well, yeah. So the one of the ideas behind writing this book for me also was to give people a practical guide, because I think, as you see nowadays, as we all know, yoga has become so popular around the world, which is a blessing, of course, for many people. But at the same time, we see all kinds of things that are called yoga, but that may have nothing to do with yoga or very little to do with yoga, or that are just a small part of what yoga has to offer. And I've met people who said, yeah, I'm also doing yoga. And then you find out it's not just a little bit of exercise every other day, which is fine, of course, it's beneficial. Many people may be doing something, but then yoga has so much more to offer. And I think even more with meditation, we have seen in the last few decades that it has become much more well-known, much more popular. But at the same time, with the increased, you can say, marketing opportunities, we also see that there are many people who offer all kinds of things under the banner of meditation, which may not necessarily really be meditation. So one thing you see now, we have so many apps, you have meditation apps, and people get all excited. Oh, this app offers me 2-minute meditations that I can squeeze it in to my schedule. But then you're not having an authentic meditation experience, nor are you having the real benefits that this beautiful practice has to offer. And I came across some articles in the news where, for example, in the UK, there was a leading mindfulness expert who was very proudly announcing that now, we also see the rise of something called secular mindfulness, which was celebrated even more, because that means everybody can do it. And it put me onto this idea that I thought, it's important also to explain to people what mindfulness actually is and how it is different from meditation. Because I, like Natasha was saying, I travel a lot. And when I was in South Africa last year, for example, there was a big company, a corporate, who wanted us to do sessions for their employees and for their executives. But they had a big issue with the word meditation. So then from our, one of our organizers, they said, okay, we can pitch it as mindfulness. And they were much more happy with that, because somehow mindfulness sounds much more secular. Meditation may have this religious undertone where some people still have these old-fashioned ideas that, oh, what if I'm doing something that, whatever interferes with my belief, or. But then if we look at mindfulness and many mindfulness practices, it's not the same. It's part of it, but in mindfulness, what we do is you bring your mind to the present moment. You become fully aware of whatever you're doing. This is most the standard mindfulness practices, where you take your attention to your breath or to a part of the body, or just being fully with what you are doing, whether it is walking, sitting, eating, which is a wonderful thing, because most of the time our mind is all over the place. And that is not always a good thing, usually. So this is definitely a big step forward. But then if you look at it, you are still actively engaging your mind. You're still doing something. So even though it is, you can say, an improvement, it's not full rest. And at the same time, to start, you already need to be a little bit mindful. So this is a catch-22. I know many people who said, yeah, I've tried it, but then they tell you to keep your attention on your breath or on something, and it's not working so well because your mind is all over the place. And then you become aware actually how much of a chaos it is inside your head. And then you say, oh, this is not for me, because it takes some time to get there. And at the same time, I've seen people who are very enthusiastic with mindfulness, but then sometimes what happens, they lose the ability to just relax and be. Even when they're just sitting in the park, I have to be mindful of everything. While if we look at meditation, it is one step further. Authentic meditation is where you transcend the mind. No? Like the Buddha called it emptiness. No? And if we look at the yoga scriptures in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the Rishi Patanjali, he very beautifully explains that there is one step called dharana, where you focus the mind. This is what we see as most mindfulness practices. But beyond that is dhyana, is meditation. So I have many years of experience. I've been teaching thousands of people across the world. And I've seen that when people are able to take this next step, when they're able to really meditate, when they get an experience of what it's like to transcend the mind, then you realize that, oh, it's such a relief. You get a break from all the thinking, all the thoughts, and it actually recharges you in a way that is even more effective than sleep. Now, of course, that doesn't mean you don't need to sleep, but 20 minutes of meditation gives your mind the same amount of rest as 4 to 6 hours of sleep does. And I think most of us would have experienced, for those of us who are here, especially during this pandemic, during the lockdowns, physically you may not be so active during the day. So your 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep is plenty for the body to recover, for you to get well rested. But mentally we had so much to endure, whether it was all the challenging news that we have to digest, or other kinds of impressions, doing online programs, just being in touch with so many people, your own anxieties and insecurities, that even after sleeping 8 hours, when you wake up in the morning, you don't feel really fresh. That physically you may be rested, but mentally it's not enough. And even before the pandemic, many people have seen this, where we have so many impressions to deal with because life is speeding up, we are exposed to much more, that same amount of rest mentally or emotionally doesn't cut it. And we don't have an alternative. We only know, okay, you can sleep, because whether it is watching a nice movie, listening to some soothing music, it may be pleasant, but it doesn't give you rest. It still tires you. You listen to any beautiful music or watch a really inspiring documentary. After a few hours, if not before that, you will say, okay, but now switch it off for some time. I need a break. However nice it may be, sooner or later it will tire you. And meditation is the only thing that can give us that kind of rest, that will allow the mind not just to recharge, but even to unwind, to drop so many of these unnecessary impressions. And that is when you start seeing that, oh, suddenly I am able to experience that inner peace again. You get more clarity. Things we have never learned, either at home or at school. How to really manage our mind, how this thing works. And I've shared many of these things in the book, of course, but this is something that meditation has to offer us, which lies beyond mindfulness.